Have you ever worked with a real estate client that you just want to clone because the transaction went so well, they were so fun to work with, and if you could do it over and over and over again, it would be the best experience? Well, you can do that, and it actually happens to me all the time. This is what happens with attraction marketing when you use tools like YouTube to attract your clients. Now, cold calling and door knocking totally works, but let's be honest, in that scenario, you're chasing leads more than attracting leads. When you can get into a position where you're attracting leads through video marketing using YouTube or other social platforms, you'll find that the best clients tend to gravitate towards you, and you can work with those amazing clients over and over again. So how do you do this? How do you create this? Well, you have to know who you're trying to attract first. You really have to identify that ideal client. And just a reminder, if you haven't watched any of my past videos, the algorithm on YouTube works by knowing exactly who your content is for. YouTube is going to put your videos in front of the right people. So it is critical that you are super clear on who your content is made for, and that YouTube can understand that in order to put your video in front of that person. Now, of course, keywords and SEO helps all of this, but YouTube is always trying to understand the content that creators are making and who it is intended for so that they can put it in front of the right person who's going to sit there and binge watch it, because the longer that person watches content on YouTube, the more money YouTube makes. So with that, it makes sense that we really need to understand who we're talking to in these videos. Take it from me, don't start your channel by just shooting from the hip and throwing up real estate content that you think might resonate with someone. If you're very targeted, you'll find that you'll see more traction much quicker on your channel. So how do you figure out who your ideal client is? Well, you want to think about things like demographics and psychographics. And if you're not familiar, just a reminder, demographics are those things like gender, age, income range, educational background, and psychographics go a little bit deeper, like motivators, goals, beliefs, and lifestyle. When you're defining your client avatar, you really want to make them into a person. Create these personal characteristics and actually picture them in your mind. So for me, my ideal client is that move-up buyer who has to sell their home first, move into a bigger home. They're not a first-time home buyer. They're a young family. They've done this before, but they appreciate the guidance from a real estate agent because they're not doing this every single day. They have questions and concerns around how to sell their home and buy a new one, whether they need to be contingent or not. They're looking to expand their lifestyle, and they are someone who does a lot of research online before making a decision. They like to vet out all the possibilities and understand every angle before they make that first call and actually talk to whoever they plan to work with. That's just an example, high level, of my client avatar, but I want you to do the same thing. You really need to define these specifics about this person's lifestyle. What social media platforms do they use? What are their hobbies? Really get into the mind of this person, and then you'll have identified your client avatar. Once you know that, it is so much easier to make content for your audience. Now, I have a super helpful resource in my course, but I'm going to give it to you for free as a download. If you check the description below, I have a workbook there that will help you go through some questions and exercises to define your client avatar. Once you have this all put together, it's so much easier for you to create a content strategy. One of the most common questions I get is, what type of videos should I be making for YouTube? And I can't answer that for you. You have to really know who you're talking to and who your audience is in order to decide what type of content is going to resonate with them. So this exercise is super critical to go through. It's one of the first things I recommend doing when you're starting a YouTube channel, aside from just setting up the channel itself. You have to remember the overall picture of being successful on YouTube is creating a funnel. We're starting at the top of the funnel by talking to a broader group of viewers on YouTube and funneling them into conversion where they see more videos from us over time, they get more free resources for us, and ultimately provide their contact information to us so that we can have a further conversation and convert them to clients and eventually into a closing. So if you think about your content strategy on YouTube as a funnel, it's so much easier to understand the strategy behind it and actually start to see some traction from each video that you post. I talk more about the steps that go into creating this funnel in this video right here. Make sure you check it out.